All right, students, your favorite teacher here, Mr. Westfall, and I'm going to give you a lesson on Python conditional or if statements. In the last lesson, you guys learned about the different comparison operators. These check to see if two values were equal to each other, not equal to each other, greater than or equal to each other, or less than or equal to each other. And you should be able to differentiate between these different symbols, and you should be able to tell me what they mean. An expression is a combination of these operators and two other values. Let's look at some example expressions. 8 is greater than 9. 9 is equal to 9. 2 does not equal 100. 9 is less than or equal 99. And the string Mark does not equal the string Stuart. These expressions are going to return a Boolean value, which is either true or false. So let's take a look at this first one. 8 is greater than 9. This is false. 9 is equal to 9 is true. 2 does not equal 100 is true. 9 is less than or equal to 99. Even though one of those things is true, it's still true, right? Because 9 is less than 99. And Mark does not equal Stuart is, in fact, a true statement. Okay, so these expressions are going to return a value of either true or false. Today you're going to learn about how to use conditional statements along with these operators so that your programs can make decisions. An if statement is a conditional statement that executes some specified code after checking if an expression is true. So let's use this as an example. 8 less than 9. This expression or the condition of this expression is true. So the code will run. If the expression is false, the code will not run. I'm going to show you guys now how to create an if statement. So make sure you're paying attention to how to create one because the syntax is important. Hold on, Westfall, slow down. Before we do any coding, I want to show you guys some visualization of how this works by showing you a flowchart. For a simple example, imagine if I want to create a program to check to see whether a number is greater than another number. So here we have x is equal to 5 and y is equal to 10. Here's where our conditional statement is going to be placed. If x is less than y, if this is a true statement, then it should output x is less than y and the program should end. So here's the question. X is less than y. Is this true or false? The answer is true, right? Because 5 is less than 10. So it's true. It will output x is less than 10. But if it was false, the program should just end. Let me show you how that's done in code. Okay, all right, ladies and gentlemen, imagine I want to check if x is less than y. Notice I have my two variables here, x and y. And I'm just going to create a simple conditional or if statement that checks to see whether or not x is less than y. So here's the syntax. If, that's the keyword, then we're going to put our expression in here. X less than y. I'm going to use a colon now, and I'm going to hit enter. And what you're going to see is it's going to indent the next line of code. The indentation is called white space. And it's absolutely necessary. So in this block of code now, I'm going to put my print statement, x is less than y. So let me explain what's happening. The if statement is checking this expression. If the expression is true, it will print whatever's indented underneath the if statement. So given that x is 5 and y is 10, we know that this expression here is going to be true. So it will print x is less than y. Okay? Again, you have to have the white space or the tab. Otherwise, you're going to get a syntax error. So tab over or space over twice. I prefer to use a tab. Understand that these expressions are not always going to be true. Check this out. Let's make 12, x the value of 12. 12 is obviously larger than 10. Notice now there's no output. Let me explain why. There may be instances where you want to test more than one expression. The Alif statement in Python is Python's way of saying if the previous expressions conditions were not true, then try this one. Let me demonstrate how this works. All right, so let's talk about what happens when we change some of these values around. And for example, we're going to change the value of x to 12 and keep y at 10. What happens next? Well, x less than y. This is false, right? So another decision has to be made. This is where we use another diamond in our flowchart. And in our code, we're going to use the elif statement, E-L-I-F. So elif x greater than y. So if this is true, it should output x is greater than y, and then the program should end. But if x is greater than y is false, then the program should just end. Let me show you how that works in code. Okay, when we last left off, this program wasn't outputting anything because this expression here was false, right? Because 12 is greater than y, or 10. So we're going to create another condition here, and it's in the form of elif. Okay, it stands for else if. And we're going to test a second condition. So elif x is greater than y, colon. Notice when I hit enter now, it's going to indent this 2 spaces over or 1 tab over. Okay, as I said before, the white space here is absolutely necessary. It means that it's part of this elif statement. So we're going to say print x is greater than y. And now when I run my program, you should see that it says x is greater than y because this expression here is true, right? Because 12 is greater than 10. Again, if we manipulate these numbers and make x less than 10, notice it says x is less than y. What if none of the expressions are true? Well, we'd use an else. I'm going to explain what this is in the next slide. So the last thing I want to show you is the else statement, and this is used in cases like this, where x and y are the same. So for example, x is 5, y is 5. No conditions are met, so they're all false. Let me explain that, okay? As we go down here in our tree, x and y are the same. This here is false, so we go here. And this here is false because x is not greater than y. They're the same. So this is our catch-all. Our else x is our catch-all. If no conditions are met or they're all false, you can code it to do something. So in our case, we're going to code it to say they are the same numbers or something like that. And let me show you what this looks like in code. All right, so there may be instances in your programs where none of the if or elif statements are true. Here's an example. If we set x and y to the same value, this is going to be false because 5 is not less than 5 and 5 is not greater than 5. So notice now there's no output. So we're going to use an else. And the else is basically like a default or a catch-all in the case that this is false and this is false. Now, I want to mention that you can create multiple elif statements, but you should always have an else statement just in case the computer does not meet these requirements and that these are not true. Okay, so it's else colon, When I hit enter, you're going to notice that it tabs over. Okay, the space is absolutely necessary, as I stated a bunch of times before. And now we're going to say print. The numbers are the same. Okay, because neither of these conditions are being met, so it's going to default to the else statement. And now if I play around with my numbers a little bit, it says x is greater than y. Now it should be less than y, and let's make them the same. So here are your directions. You're going to go to trinket. You're going to create a new trinket, and I'll let you know what to name it on the next slide. But you're going to copy the code that is in the next slide and get it to run. And I also want you to play around with the values of the variables x and y just to see what the code does. And then you're going to submit a working clickable hyperlink to PlayPosit. You've done this before, so you should know how to do it.